Welcome to Reflections, a program where we discuss values and virtues for the transformation of the individual and the society in general. I am Father George Ehusani, and I have in the studio with me once again a young person, Dr. Anumah. You're welcome.
Thank you, Father.
Hey, young doctor. Dr. Anumah is, you work at the Gariki Hospital.
Yes.
Good. And she is here to discuss with me the challenge of youths following celebrities all over the place and living the life of the celebrities. Unfortunately, these celebrities that young people are so enthralled about, fascinated about, many of them have no values. They don't have the kind of values that can build lives. Truth, honesty, compassion, purity, and so on. Many of these celebrities don't share those values, and it's just about making money and making it big, going into drugs, alcohol, sex, all kinds of things. And I'm saying a society built on those kind of uncivil, immoral, unethical ideologies, such a society is dead. I mean, so what is your own impression of what is going on in our society? In the last few months, we have had a particular celebrity called Naira Marley that appears to be influencing. I'm not even aware that if he himself knows the extent of the influence of his music and his thoughts all over the place. All we are hearing is that many people are following him, not wearing pants on certain days, not having shoelaces, deciding not to graduate, and so on and so forth. What's going on? Or what do you think is going on? And how can we vaccinate? You're a doctor. How can we vaccinate the young people against such decadent values spreading? How does society vaccinate its young people against? Every generation perhaps have some crazy persons in every generation. But usually there are some fringe elements in society, not dominant. So how do we protect this society so that these crazy ideologies can remain on the fringe and not in the mainstream of our schools and universities and so on?
Okay, first of all, I think that in the life of every young person, especially when you go from teenage years to about young adulthood, there's a certain level of identity crisis.
Oh, there's identity crisis.
Yes, and it's normal to start with because that's the age where you start looking for where you find your value in as a person or what makes you important as a person. Now, what happens is that for many young people in my generation, what society is telling us to find our identity and value in are the things that are detrimental to us. For example, fame, popularity, material possessions, even career-wise, which is not bad, but sometimes in extreme measures to the detriment of other aspects of their life.
What young people are seeing that society is projecting is fame, popularity, celebrity status,
exactly.
Be an idol of some sort, and then a lot of money, and so on. And many people do not read history. Some of the most famous human beings in the course of the last 100 years, Elvis Presley, for example, they call him King of Rock and Roll. Elvis Presley, he died of drug overdose. Michael Jackson, he died of drug overdose. Whitney Houston, she died of drug overdose. Her daughter died of drug overdose. Meaning, just being popular, being a celebrity, it doesn't necessarily take somebody home. But perhaps young people don't read enough history to know this.
Many young people don't understand that. And sometimes it's not entirely their fault, because if you look at their upbringing, from when a child is little, you have to start instilling in the child, not just through what you say, but through what you do, where you get your identity from. And for a lot of people, the foundation to get your identity from is your faith. Your faith in a supreme being.
Yes.
So, but when a child can see that, mommy is happiest, or she finds most pleasure
when she makes money.
When she makes money in the possessions that she has. She has to acquire a lot of bags and shoes and whatever to be happy. Or you see that daddy is so engrossed in his career that nothing else matters, and as long as he's progressing in that career, everything is good for him. When a child can see that, or when a child can see, oh, their parents are popular in church, and all that matters to them is that people know them in church and people see them, when a child sees that, then it's no wonder that when they grow to the age where they are looking for their own identity, then they want to find it in popularity, for example. So if being a Marlian is what is popular at the moment, then I'm going to be a diehard Marlian because I find my identity in the fact that I'm popular. Or if doing drugs or whatever is what is trending at that point, then I'm going to do it because that's where I find my identity at that point. So I think many young people are just searching for identity.
This is very important that for us, for the adult society to understand that young people are searching. Who am I?
Exactly.
What is this life all about? What is the meaning and purpose? So there is a whole question of purpose.
Yes.
A whole question of meaning.
Yes.
And if people grow up at home and they never succeeded in getting a sense of identity from their parents.
Exactly.
As you say, that the parent says, God is the source of my identity. But the behavior of the parent, the choices the parents are making on a daily basis, the child is seeing that there is a dissonance. There's a dissonance between what the parent is saying and what the parent is doing and how the parent is living. Like you said, if the young female child sees that my mother is happiest when she's able to buy all her jewelries and her gold and shoes and bags, my mother is most excited and happiest. Then the mother may be saying, God is my source of identity, but what the child is seeing it is wealth and popularity.
Exactly. Yeah, so I think this is one of the major issues why young people tend to just follow whatever is trending or whatever, because there's this herd movement. So I want to be part of a movement. I want to be part of it's. For young people, we just have this thing where we don't want to stand alone.
Sure.
We don't want to. We need to be part of, and that's why if you go to a secondary school, right, and you ask them about what they think about Naira, they will most likely tell you what they think about it because they're in a group. Yes. And they have people supporting them and saying the same thing. But when you take them individually, when their parents or whoever takes them individually to ask them, they'll most likely not tell you what they actually think because at that point, they're alone. Yes. They're by themselves. So there's this thing where young people just want to be part of a movement I have follow a trend.
I have seen what you are saying. I went to secondary schools and they had no inhibitions to tell me that, a girl told me, listen, father, if I can only take a selfie with Wizkid, I am made for life. That's what she told me.
Her classmates supported her, right?
Oh yeah, and their classmates were hailing.
Exactly.
And when I complain about some of these celebrities and their values, they say, Father, what's your problem? These guys sing mad songs and we love them. So, like you're right, when they are in a group, there is the herd mentality.
Exactly.
It's like sheep, just follow where others are going. How do we build the characters, the personalities of these young people so that when they are alone, they can actually come by who they are and what they want in life, irrespective of what the other girls or the other boys want? Now, what do I want in life? What do I want from life? How do we set about building such individuals?
Like we said earlier, I think it still boils down to the home. But more than the home, you can also think of like teacher-student relationship, religious leaders and younger members of their congregation, mentors and mentees. I think that, first of all, we need to... What is most important about young people is that when a young person feels like you've listened to them and you understand them, then they're more inclined to accept correction and advice and redirection. There's this thing that young people have where we just want to rebel against authority. So if we feel like you're coming to us from a place of dominance and authority, they'll resist it. Exactly. But if they feel like you're coming to them from a place of love and understanding, then they're more likely to accept whatever it is you have to say. So for parents, I feel like you have to establish a certain level of relationship with your child where yes, you're their parents, you discipline them and all, but you also have to establish a sort of friendship with your child. It's only when you establish a friendship with your child that when they go out and see these things that they question, they can come back and tell you, and then you can correct and redirect them. But if they're not even speaking to you, or if they're not even expressing themselves to you, then you don't even know what to correct or what to advise or how to direct them.
So that the challenge of parenting today, meaning parenting today cannot be the way it was 50 years ago.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I was not exposed as a young 15, 20-year-old to all that young people are exposed to today.
Yes.
I didn't grow up to have a sense of my fundamental rights as a 15-year-old, as a child will have today.
Yes.
So I listened to my parents. But today, the child is saying, well, that's your own view.
Exactly.
I have a different view.
Exactly.
And even if the child is not able to say that to the parent, the child leaves that out.
Exactly.
So, parenting today is like Dr. Kechuku said on Sunday, parenting today is a full-time work.
Exactly.
And it cannot be taken lightly. If you raise one child, then you need a lot of time. But we're in a society where some people are raising 10, 15, 20 children. Some leaders are even boasting about 27 children. And they have no time. They'll be so busy looking for money for the basic material needs of these children that they don't have time. Some parents don't actually know the children. Under such circumstances of failed parenting, I'll call it failed parenting, what can the older the elements of society do like us? And then what can young people like you do? Because I am putting quite some responsibility on your generation, because if you don't do something about it, you are 23, if you don't do something about it, the 15-year-old can become a terror for you.
Exactly.
So, what can we do, and what can your generation do?
Let me start from what my generation can do. I always challenge young people, and myself included, that young people that are enlightened, we need to start being more vocal about.
Young people who are enlightened need to start becoming more vocal.
We need to start because what I notice is that those who are lost tend to be the loudest. On social media, in physical conversations, those who don't know where they're going, they are the loudest. So
those who don't know where they are going are the loudest on social media.
They're the loudest.
So the social media is dominated by people who are spreading fake news, people who are spreading decadent values. They are the ones that hit millions.
Exactly. So and when they're the loudest, then people follow them as a result. Because some people don't have a mind of their own and they're just waiting for who to follow. So those that are the loudest are those they follow. So I think we that are enlightened, we have to start being more vocal. Jesus says that you don't light a candle and put it under a bushel, but I think that's what many young people are trying to do. Those of us that are enlightened, we're trying to hide our light because maybe we're scared of the response that we're going to get. Because being vocal means that you're going to stand out, because now the abnormal is what is the norm. So if you're advocating for the norm, you look different and weird and out of place.
Well, one of the challenges we have, perhaps the young people with values are going to have, you post something. If some celebrity strips herself and posts something on social media today, in the next hour she may get 1 million likes.
True.
If we post this interview on social media today, in the next 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, you'll be happy if you get 100. This is a reality. So how are we going to work on that? So wonderful to encourage people who have some values, who know where they are going, to become more active on social media. That's a wonderful idea. But and not only myself, the experience of many people is that, like I said, if we post this interview today on social media, you'll be happy if in 24 hours you get 100 likes. But if you strip yourself and make a video of it and put on social media, you are going to get 1 million votes in 24 hours. I have a problem.
What you've said is completely true. For some reason, things that are
negative
tend to have more likes and viewings and things like that. But I still believe that even the few hundred that are going to watch it, it's still an impact, because who knows who those 100 are going to meet and who they will end up meeting, and so the ripple effect.
It's called multiplier effect.
Exactly. So even if, I mean, I can't say that because I don't think that people are going to read it or watch it or whatever, then I don't put it out there entirely. I think we should be more, not just on social media too, but even in physical conversations, because you'd find yourself amongst a group of people where I remember I found myself amongst a group of people one time, and they were talking about like exam malpractice, and for some reason everybody was talking about how they had done it before, and
exam malpractice,
like it was nothing.
Normal.
And I was there, and okay, a part of me felt like, I mean, I didn't want, if I spoke out against it, I would have looked different. And these were people I was supposed to be working with for a long time, and I wanted to have some sort of relationship with them, but I couldn't help myself. I knew that God wanted me to say something. So there I was like, I had to speak out against it and be like, regardless of the fact that we're talking, like this thing is just normal thing, we all know it is abnormal, terrible. Right? Yes. So in physical conversations and on social media, we need to start conversations. We need to start speaking. Those of us that are enlightened, we need to start letting people know that it's possible for a young person to be enlightened and know where they're going. For some reason, young people, we think we have time. We think that we can just do anything we want with our lives, and then maybe down the line we can get serious with our faith or get serious with other things. And I think it's important they start knowing that we don't have time. Tomorrow is not guaranteed for anybody.
Apart from even not have time, is the fact that as you lay your bed, so you lie on it. That morning tells you what the day will be like. So if you mess up your life between the age of 15 and 20, and you are hoping to pick it up at the age of 50, you would have set up a pattern.
Exactly.
So your life is going in the direction that you set when you are young. So it is when you are young that you develop the values and the life habits that make for successful, meaningful, purposeful lives.
Exactly. And for parents and the older generation, I think first of all they need to accept the fact that maybe they've done some things wrong. The way you were parented as someone that is 50 now, you can't parent your child the same way, because the times have changed. The challenges and the temptations young people are facing now are completely different from what you probably faced before. It's important to make time for your child. And when we're talking about time, some people think, oh, you need to quit your job and sit down with the child 24/7 at home. But some little conversations we have with your child when your child comes back from school. Oh, how was school? You tell the child how work was and the challenges you faced at work, and then the child knows that, okay, this is actually a conversation where mommy is saying her own too, I can say my own, and they tell you how it was at school, and then they start to tell you things, and you can see where the problem is coming from, and you can address it on the way to school. Have conversations that while at the breakfast table, or during dinner, whatever. Have conversations at night, before the child goes to sleep.
Once upon a time I had an issue with, I had a professor talked about his children, and the professor happened to be living in the town, and then he works in Gwagwalada. And I told him, when the children are on holidays, you see, you are so busy, you drive all the way. It takes you 1 hour from your home to the teaching hospital in Gwagwalada where you work. Why don't you go to work with your children? What it means is that these young people who are on holidays, you would have 2 hours with them each day.
Exactly.
Because as you drive from your home to Gwagwalada each day, that will be 1 hour. Back, that will be another 1 hour. 2 solid hours with your children, listening to them, chatting with them.
Exactly.
When people misbehave on the traffic, you make a comment, and your child is learning that this kind of behavior is not correct, and so on and so forth. You hear what they have to say, you listen to them. That is wonderful. And he began to see that perhaps that is a viable. Yeah, because by the time you close at 4 or 5, you get home at 7.
You're exhausted.
You are exhausted. But you see, if you took these people, make some arrangement where they will have lunch, but you have had 2 solid hours with them each day.
Yes. So I think it's very important. And then for other like teachers, mentors, religious leaders, I think that they too have to come in, because they say it takes a village to raise a child. So they have to come in too, and don't come in from the perspective of somebody that just wants to establish authority over them, because like I said earlier, young people nowadays, we have this thing where we just tend to resist authority. So don't come to them like you're a friend. Develop a relationship with them before you want to give them some sort of advice or correction or things like that. Give them an enabling environment to express themselves.
Is there a way of helping young people to recognize? I have a challenge with the fact that people do not read history, because you see, just introducing people to the way other human beings and generations have lived before is a powerful lesson. These kind of values that you are following, if you follow it, this is how people crash. This is what it led to in the life of this person or that person or that person. Is there another way of helping young people, like have a social media application or blog where the life of previous celebrities, for example, and how they ended, where they can be constantly posted and discussed?
I think that's a very good idea. Since young people tend to be so engrossed in social media nowadays, you might as well take it and use it to help them. So maybe, there's Twitter where, people post tweets, and someone can just decide that every day I'm going to tweet about the life of one previous celebrity, whether it's someone that ended up negatively, or so they can see, yes, or someone that ended up positively.
And what are the factors that made him end up positively?
Exactly. So anybody can just start posting that every day, and even if you have only 2 people read it today, who knows, tomorrow it may be 5, tomorrow it may be 10. That's a good thing with Twitter. People retweet and retweet and retweet, and it goes around. And then in addition, I think many parents are not really aware of history. So, you can't give what you don't have. So maybe if parents too can start reading reading and getting to know about this, then they can, you can just come up in a conversation with your children.
When people do not look back to see the mistakes that were made in the past, then they are likely to repeat those mistakes. There is a book by one David Wong, in Singapore, somebody I met in Singapore. The book is titled Finishing Well. Finishing Well. And he took the Bible and went from Genesis to Revelations, the various personalities, and said, look, the issue is not how anyone started. The matter is how they ended. And he was able to demonstrate that in the entire Old Testament, there are only a handful of people who finished well. And most of the personalities finished badly. So, and some of those personalities were well gifted, like Samson, very well gifted, but finished badly. Like Solomon, very well gifted, but finished badly. So, for me, if there is a way of young people developing some blog, some app, that you start bringing out these personalities, then those that finish well, how? What are the factors? What are the elements? What are the character elements, personality traits that help them to finish well? Just to have plenty of money? Does it necessarily make somebody finish well? Just to be the most popular person? Does it necessarily make somebody finish well? I went to your former school, for example, and I was asking them what their purpose in life was. And one after the other, they would tell me, I want to be the first female president of Nigeria. I want to be the most popular doctor in Nigeria. And I said, but that's not a purpose, just to be the most popular doctor. What? And one of the girls was crying at the end that he had this wonderful ambition of being the first female president of Nigeria, and that Father George put it down as no purpose. It took me time to explain that to be the first female president of Nigeria is neither here nor there. But that if it is about reaching out to help women, reaching out to raise the standard of women in this society, or the girl child in this society, and you are committed to it, and then Nigerian women and others now say, be our president.
Exactly.
So that you are able to do more of that as president. But just to be the first female president, that, So these are the things that we need to find the avenues of communicating to our young people. And okay, you have a lot of hope about the social media, like
Yes.
The previous guest. You have a lot of hope about the social media. So we hope that the social media that is part of the decadence of today can also help us
To change things.
to change things.
Yes.
What last word do you have for parents?
To parents, I'd say develop a relationship with your child.
Develop a relationship with your child.
Much more than being an authority over the child, which you are, you're also a friend to the child. Young people tell their friends many things
that they never tell their
they
parents.
never tell their parents. So if you can develop a friendship with your child, then they're more open to tell you many things. When they tell you, you can see where they're going wrong, and then you can offer correction. But if you don't even know what is going on, then you're it's like you're blind. There's no way to lead
And
them.
yesterday I was telling a parent, don't be too quick to show you are shocked
Exactly.
when your little teenage child is saying something.
Very
If
true.
you show you are shocked, then that's the end.
They won't tell you anything again because
So
of
you
the
need to
response.
develop some shock absorber, so that the young child is telling you something private, whatever. Oh, is that so?
Yes.
So that you can hear more.
Yes.
So that the next time he will come and tell you. But if you show, then that's you
That
block
you've lost the opportunity for them to tell you much more shocking things in the future.
Yeah.
So yeah, you need to have an enabling environment for them. Don't shut them up when they're talking. Don't, when parents do keep quiet, you don't know what you're saying. Don't do that. Don't make a child feel like what they think or feel is irrelevant. Don't shut them up when they're thinking. Allow them to speak. Allow them to finish. And don't just listen to them because you want to reply them. Listen to them because you actually want to understand where they're coming from. And so they can get more comfortable with you and express themselves more in the future.
I think you and our previous guest, Unize, will need to organize a workshop for parents because parents, a lot of parents, is true, definitely do not understand their children. A lot of parents are attempting to parent their children according to the way they were parented.
Exactly.
And it just won't work.
It won't work.
So we may need to organize a workshop for parents and get people like you who are not yet parents but are no more children to address them, to say, look, I think I understand your children a little better than you in some areas. And this is my recommendation on the way to go. So we definitely can organize that kind of workshop. It's been wonderful having you. I've been speaking to my niece, Dr. Anumah, and she is speaking to us on young people, the culture today, and how we can help, how we can use social media, how we can use conversations, how people who have a sense of purpose. We shouldn't leave the ground, the landscape, to just people who have no values. Let people who have values, who have a sense of where they are going, let them speak out more, right?
Yes.
Let them speak out more so that society can be better.
Yes.
it's been wonderful having you.
Thank you,
God
Father.
bless you. We'll
Thank
have
you.
more of you on this program.